Well, I hear one of your dreams is to do directing. What are some of the other things you want to do in your career?
Films. I'm going to make our own motion pictures, and I have a movie coming up I'm directing, and,
Hi guys. In today's video, we're going to talk about Michael Jackson's desire to become a film director and get involved in the film industry. If you like our content, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. You can also donate to support us and to help make the videos in better quality. Let's start the video. From a young age, Michael Jackson has been on stage performing, singing, and dancing, at first with his brothers, and later pursued his own solo career. For him, these were the number one things, and he focused on his work and worked hard to give his audience the best performance and experience both on stage and in his songs. However, he had certain hobbies that he did and wanted to do in his free time, and also wanted to pursue a second career in and do it more professionally.
One of them was being a director and getting into the film industry and starting make films and also star in them.
The first movie role that Michael was offered was The Whiz in 1979, when he was still in the Jackson 5 with his brothers. Basically, that was Michael Jackson's only feature film role during his career. In The Whiz, you witness that brief young adult window in Michael's life and career before he became the sexy R&B, suited up and bow-tied Prince of 1979's Off the Wall, or bore the weight of the music world on his crown as the King of Pop. Jackson the actor, then aged 20, was a natural. His gentle, understated portrayal of the Scarecrow is a quiet revelation. In every scene, Michael exudes a childlike wonderment, innocence, and infectious joy that is contagious. Of course, as the premier song and dance man, he doesn't disappoint either. Jackson's bluesy, expressive interpretation of "You Can't Win" is a joy to listen to, because you can actually hear his voice playfully dancing throughout every syllable of the lyrics, while his carefree tenor bobs and weaves in and out of the melody. In 1986, Michael also did a lead role in the movie Captain EO, but the film itself was created for Disneyland. A dream team of The Godfather director Francis Ford Coppola, exec producer George Lucas, actress Angelica Houston, and the ILM special effects team came together to make the most expensive film ever for its length at the time. It cost $23.7 million, and it had a runtime of 17 minutes. The film was essentially a musical showcase for Jackson, who was still riding high off the success of his music video for Thriller. Disney wanted a piece of the action, and the King of Pop had an affinity for Disney. Jackson played the titular heroic space captain. Huston was the supreme leader who emerged at the end of the film after Jackson saved the galaxy through the powers of singing and hip thrusts. In 1988, Michael starred in the movie The Moonwalker. This was the film where the singer fulfilled his dream of being a movie star. Jackson's star power was so colossal in the 1980s that showbiz compatriots clamored to collaborate with him. He had already gone to school for his directorial education, working alongside two of the most successful directors of the 1980s, John Landis on Thriller and Martin Scorsese on Bad. According to accounts of the directors and producers who'd worked with him, Jackson had shown great promise as an actor and director. And so, eager to achieve his breakthrough in film, a workaholic Jackson began shooting Moonwalker before his multi-platinum Bad album was even completed, his aim to coincide the releases. Writing and financing the 93-minute film himself, reportedly to the sum of $20 million, permitted him to monopolize the project from concept and, significantly, secure its production. Worldwide touring commitments meant Moonwalker, named after Jackson's backwards slide dance and alluding to the stratospheric fame he'd accomplished, was released in UK cinemas in 1988. The film is essentially a series of short music videos woven together. Rightly criticized for its narrative deficiencies, Moonwalker nevertheless succeeds as a superb visual interpretation to the fantasy themes found within the Bad album. Probably the last movie Michael played a small role in was Man in Black. When Men in Black came out in 1997, the action comedy, which stars Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones as agents who watch over alien life forms on Earth, became a box office smash. It even entertained the King of Pop. According to Men in Black director Barry Sonnenfeld, when it was time to work on the sequel, Men in Black 2, they got a call from a fan of the franchise, Michael Jackson, who wanted to be in the movie. He approached us, Sonnenfeld told Insider in an interview for the original movie's 25th anniversary.
After the first film, he called 4 years ago, and he said, look, if there's ever a Men in Black 2, I'm in that movie. And it felt good for me the way that the audience reacted. I saw it with the audience the other night, and people just scream and applaud.
And Mike can fight, too. I saw him. He was doing, like, some black belt stuff. You know, you never think about Michael Jackson just, like, kicking your ass, but he probably could.
Now that we have talked about the King of Pop's roles in movies, we are going to take a look at his aspirations on becoming a movie director. Speaking to E! News, director and producer Brian Michael Stoller said that he had bonded with Jackson over their love of movies and that the star invited him to tutor his two eldest children about filmmaking. He'd set up a makeshift classroom. We were talking about how animation was done, scripts, screenplays. He was totally into that. I would tutor them at the ranch, he explained. Stoller, who met Jackson in 1985 after producing a spoof version of the infamous Pepsi commercial, went on to say that the pair had discussed remaking Chitty Chitty Bang Bang before optioning a book called They Cage the Animals at Night. The project, revolving around an abandoned and abused foster boy, was set to be financed by Mel Gibson's Icon Productions, with Jackson directing. However, plans dissolved following the singer's 2005 trial. Michael had verbally expressed his plan and interest in developing a new cinema, animation, LLC studio and production company. He had already decided on a name for the new company. He was planning to begin launching it shortly after the This Is It tour, along with moving to Las Vegas permanently and turning Neverland Ranch into an amusement park attraction. Michael had planned to employ his nephew, Taj, and his oldest son, Prince, in his studio company. Michael had planned to retire from being an entertainer. He stated he had accomplished all there was to achieve in music art and wanted to begin working behind the scenes. However, Michael would never stop writing, producing, and creating music. Music was indeed MJ's first love. He simply did not want to perform anymore. Michael has teased the world with his short films and music videos, establishing himself as a creative genius in the art of movie and production making. There's no question that Michael Jackson would have been accepted by his fans and others. In 1996, facing financial troubles, Marvel created Marvel Studios to produce its own superhero movies. They aimed to have more control over the creative process and partnered with studios like 20th Century Fox for filming and distribution, while they secured deals for films like X-Men and Fantastic Four. Other projects, like Captain America's animated series, fell through due to Marvel's bankruptcy in 1996. On the other hand, Jackson's career was under scrutiny. Allegations of child sexual abuse had tarnished his image several years prior, casting a shadow over his once unmatched fame. He no longer was at the peak of his musical career and saw acquiring Marvel as a way to reinvent himself. The rumors about his desire to play Spider-Man further suggest a yearning to recapture the spotlight, perhaps through a major film role. However, Jackson's legacy remains complex due to the serious allegations against him, which were further explored in the 2019 documentary Leaving Neverland. In addition to his musical superstardom, Michael Jackson was a huge movie and superhero fan. Back then, making movies and shows on superhero characters was an emerging market. His passion was so strong that he reportedly wanted to acquire the rights to Spider-Man and portray the character himself. When this attempt was denied, Jackson allegedly went even further, offering to purchase the entire Marvel Comics company. Despite numerous interactions and negotiations with Stan Lee throughout the 1990s, Marvel turned down Jackson's offer to buy Marvel. The first look of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, starring Tobey Maguire, hit the box office with a whopping success in 2002. Marvel Studios' business saw an upward trajectory, setting a stage for more such superhero movies to come. Soon, in 2009, Disney stepped in to purchase Marvel for a whopping $4 billion, which has taken the Marvel Cinematic Universe to a stage where their movies have grossed over $22 billion, even back in 2020, making it one of the most lucrative and best investments in the world of media and entertainment. In closing, Michael Jackson, of course, did not succeed in acquiring Marvel and fulfilling his acting aspirations. But just imagine what could have happened if he had secured the rights to Marvel. Perhaps he would have donned the iconic costumes of your favorite superheroes. What would that have looked like?